see what he wants to do. I don't know how far he's gotten in setting it up, but that would be helpful. Oh, I think we're good actually. I think it looks like we got the runner's perspectives up. And it looks like we're gonna get started here soon. So again, we do have Kyro and King174rus. Two in terms of PB, very equal runners, but again, Kyro does have the edge in experience, I would believe, because he's been playing for years, so it looks like we have another good race here coming up here. And looks like maybe we have a little bit of delay, but I think the race has started. We're gonna have to solve that delay here, but we do have King174rus and Kyro. Kyro on the left, King174rus on the right.
All right, sorry about that. We got it figured out in the end.
Do we have a... You know what? It's fine. We're good. But we do have Kyro first try on Dreamworld. That's a huge start.
I'm gonna have to do a little bit of manual syncing again. Unfortunately, the sync didn't really go as well as planned. We had a bit of a language barrier, but this is an easy enough fix. Just excuse me for having to mess with the stream for a second here.
Alright, so it may look like that King174rus and Kyro are even right now, but if you look at the timers, there's a little bit of delay. So Kyro is ahead of King174rus because King174rus did miss Dreamworld first try. And it's very important to get off to that start in Dreamworld. Where hitting it first try makes a huge difference, especially in confidence for the rest of the run.
Yeah, you're gonna see a bit of freezing on the streams as I adjust them right now.
And Kyro does miss AUP skip. Very uncharacteristic mistake coming out here from Kyro. Looks like we're all synced up here.
Yep, isn't gonna get much better than that, unfortunately. So that will have to do.
Alright, so now officially King174rus is in the lead here. Does go through roast button, so I think the first real question is going to be troll hole if the runners can get it first try on either side. Kyro having a little bit of issue with roast mutton. And King174rus does get troll hole first try. Do you think the rust is playing a little bit of a factor in here for Kyro?
Definitely possible. I honestly don't remember the last time Kyro streamed this game, so I do not know if he's been playing offline or if he just decided to join this as his little comeback.
Yeah, I thought after seeing Kyro hit Dreamworld first try, I was like, oh, he's back for sure. But as it turns out, having a little bit of hiccups here at the start, and King174rus is going to take a sizable lead. Already in Dreamworld does hit troll hole, so not too far behind.
Yep.
And do you think, I know both these runners have solid times, I believe somewhere in the 14 minutes.
You know what? For the sake of getting this right, let me pull up the leader.
Yeah, you do that. I guess I'll segue into my question, though, because it's probably better to get their times right than make stuff up. But King174rus is coming up. I was going to see if they choose to do pillar skip, and it looks like King174rus is deciding to do it, and I'm kind of curious to see if Kyro will.
Impressive. So I have the update on the PBs here. They are in fact close, with Kyro having a 14:35 and King174rus having a 14:57.
Wow, it's only a 20-second difference. Not huge by any stretch.
I will say though, King174rus, I think definitely has some potential to maybe improve that PB, because King174rus is very active in the game, just not always in the NMG category. So I don't know if their PB is their full potential.
Yeah, that's something I mentioned here before the race started, is that King174rus does do a lot of different categories, category extensions and such. So I was kind of anxious to see how he would perform in NMG, and so far, not so bad here from King174rus. And Kyro opts not to do pillar skip.
Yep. Interesting choice. I guess Kyro is really going to try to rely on the consistency here, which I think is fair, especially if you're coming back to the game a little rusty.
Agreed.
And we're going to see the islands here. Definitely a scary place to be always, but King174rus, no problems with the islands. I'm assuming we'll see another Bean Island save here. Ooh, I see it being passed. That is definitely a scary thing.
He's very confident in his gameplay, but does miss the Bean Island jump.
That is why people save there.
Wow.
It's traditionally a very hard trick, although runners have generally gotten a lot better at it, but that bit of pressure of the race might just shake you up enough to where it's not always as you expect it to be.
Right.
So that puts Kyro ahead a bit again.
Yeah, does take the lead here.
And expecting Kyro to save on this for sure. If the previous gameplay is anything to go by.
Yeah, and especially if he has to stream up, if he saw that miss, I would be thinking, oh man, I don't want to miss it too. And at the same time, like, oh, now I have a lead, I'm going to take the save, and he does.
And there we see it. I wonder if King174rus regrets that. Maybe he hadn't planned it out. Maybe he thought he would just send it.
Yeah.
Ooh, but Kyro missing it too. It's going to help make up that little bit of time, but Kyro having actually saved here will not be put back nearly as far.
Alright. Sorry about that answer in chat.
No
okay, does get its second try. Let's see if King174rus opts for the save this time, or if he feels like he's so far behind that he just doesn't.
I find it hard to imagine he doesn't. Yeah. It's still too early in the game to make rash decisions like that. In my opinion, anyway. Let's see. Does he redeem himself? He does not. I guess making that save worth every second he took.
I hate to be the devil's advocate here, but I still don't understand why in 2023 runners are not using the camera upstrap for Bean Island jump. It makes it so much easier because you can actually see what you're doing. But I guess if he's used to that way, then
for context, it's possible to move the camera up and down in this game, and when you're approaching Bean Island jump from a camera behind Bilbo, you can see the edge obviously, so it's not impossible to do the trick. But it's not super visually clear. Well, if you turn the camera up, which is something that, let's say, 95% of other runners do, you get so much more visual information because you get this top-down view of exactly when Bilbo will approach the edge. And, ooh, King174rus actually sliding off the ending there. That is a huge mistake. Kyro might just take this lead and run with it. But anything can still happen. There is some hard levels coming up. And it's hard to say. Yeah,
anything can happen.
Anything can happen, especially when we're already off to a rocky start like this one. Kyro opting to save there. I don't fault him at all.
King174rus is still having issues.
That is,
oh man,
definitely a rough one.
This could be the first lopsided race of the entire tournament here.
It's too early to say for sure, but it definitely has the potential. King174rus does get it eventually. Hopefully that ending mistake doesn't happen again. And I hope that this doesn't shake up their gameplay too much. Because I would like to see another close race.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Especially if you miss something multiple times, like Bean Island after saving, it's very easy to get tilted, and that can influence the rest of your run. So
yeah, it's a very different environment than a PB, because if that happens in a regular run, you reset both your game and your mind, and it's like, okay, we go again. But King174rus has to know in the back of his head right now that he has ground to make up, and that is just another layer of pressure that you don't usually have.
Exactly, and he does make up a little bit of ground by hitting that slope boost first try, so that's a good start for King174rus, but he has to carry that out through the rest of riddles here, and let's see if he can make up some ground. I don't know if he does Invis Minecart, but that is somewhere to make up some ground, so keep an eye on that.
I'm pretty sure he does do it in his PB runs. I don't know if he's willing to risk it now. We'll see. Kyro coming up on the end of riddles here, moving into flies and spiders, which is an execution test. We might be able to see some rust into play here, or we'll get pleasantly surprised.
Yep. So far today, flies and spiders for mostly every runner has been a pretty strong level. Haven't seen too much go wrong in flies and spiders, so
it's good to see, because I think flies and spiders is definitely one of those hard but very consistent if you're good at it levels.
Yep.
So it's nice to see that skill level coming into play here. And we see King174rus is going for the invisible minecart. Ooh! Oh my god!
A little bit of a custom movement here coming out from King174rus.
Yeah, it looked like he was gonna miss the jump attack there, but accidentally boosts off the edge and still lands on top. That is a bit of luck, but exactly what King174rus might need.
And we're going to have to see if that messes up the timing here with the minecarts. Maybe that little bit of movement might have thrown off the minecart cycle here with King174rus.
Right.
It looks like he's going to be fine, so he does get it.
That little bit of game knowledge on display there. A lot of runners wouldn't know what to do if they miss their usual cycle, but King174rus, very experienced in many different categories, knows just the amount of slashes he needs to make that work. And we see Kyro hitting the rock boost there. One of the harder boosts in Flies and Spiders for most runners. Not the hardest, but up there, I'd say.
Yep.
And
so far, it looks like Kyro's doing well in Flies.
Yeah. Very impressive showing. I'm impressed by King174rus making it, you know, coming back after such a shaky start, slowly but surely. Kyro here opting not to go for the boost, and going for the web walk, which isn't something I'd traditionally be super excited about, but considering it's a race, he's rusty, and he has a lead, I can respect it.
Yep. Oh, King174rus does miss a slow boost.
Is he going for the save jump attack reset, or does he just use it to save? Looks like he just used it to save, which is fair.
Yep. And now Kyro is on barrels, so...
Yep. Both runners doing some boosts here. Luke missing it, but not falling down. That's the big thing on the tree skip here. If you don't fall down, it's not nearly as bad than if you do. Right. Now, Kyro can send a few attempts like this. I don't know if it's his angle, but he is falling down consistently, which is or he's not falling down consistently, which is very good for retries on this, you know.
Yeah.
A little bit of a bright side here. But, this might definitely be that Rust showing, and he does end up falling. Same for King174rus.
King174rus misses the rock slow boost and...
Opting for a different backup. Interesting.
Oh,
Not...
it does... Okay.
Ooh, okay. A different clip warp than you usually see.
I got a little worried with that clip warp because he did it on the ground instead of like jumping on the vine first and then like maybe dropping off it and getting the clip warp.
I thought he wasn't confident in his clip warp position and he was just going to loop back up. But
yeah.
Looks like he had a different plan in mind, and it worked out. Kyro making it up on the tree. Yep. Definitely not a great barrels, but enough to keep that lead going. If King174rus can get his barrels first try, that will help him close the gap, but he'll have to get there first.
Agreed, and just by looking at King174rus's gameplay, it seems like slow boosting right now is a big issue that he's having some trouble with, and we know in barrels on a bond there is slow boost you have to do to get up to
there is one slow boost, but on the plus side, the second half of the run isn't nearly as slow boost heavy as the first half, so maybe we'll see a bit of a comeback if that really is the underlying issue here.
Does get the slow boost first try.
Oof, going a little too far on a setup. A pretty common mistake, I'd say, because you want to be that far on the edge to actually get a proper setup on this. Oof. Not getting the time he needs.
And Kyro, okay, Kyro was in the water, but he wasn't moving and paused for a good 5 seconds before he started realizing, but now he finally started moving, so that could have been a very disastrous thing for Kyro.
Yeah.
Something I've actually done before, surprisingly. Or maybe not surprisingly.
But had the awareness, did double check. And honestly, if he's aware of the lead he has right now, and that was just him playing it as safe as possible, then I would totally respect and understand it.
Agreed.
But King174rus is definitely having some trouble here.
Yeah,
it's what you hate to see, honestly.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like King174rus's day, unfortunately. He keeps falling, and like M. Carmen said before, falling down is way worse, because then when we saw Kyro miss, he was still staying up, and you don't have to do the slow boost again. So, as MK was saying before, falling down does waste more time, and when you're this far behind, you really can't afford that.
Yep, and another big thing about having to do the slope boost that is easy to forget, especially if you're not really that into the game, is that your jump attacks in this game are on a timer. You can only do another one after 10 seconds of doing the first one. It has to recharge. So you see King174rus now is waiting out that timer because he knows that he can't do another jump attack to try to get back up. But with the recharge, he can, and we just see Kyro running away with it, saving on inside info. it's looking rough.
Yeah, and Kyro here is just going through the motions, taking all the proper saves, doing all the right strategies to take this one home. And barring a very huge meltdown, I don't want to cast their curse again, but King174rus does finally get up on the tree, so
Yeah,
it's
there's a solid 2.5 to 3 minute difference between these runners right now, which is a massive hurdle to overcome. But it's not unheard of for someone to die late into any of the final levels.
Agreed. And we see Kyro here setting up inside info again, taking his time.
Absolutely.
And hitting it.
Does hit it.
Wow. Very good.
Oh, and King174rus falling in the water.
Oh no. Oh,
Kyro
man.
even going a right side on gathering, which is a little less consistent, not necessarily much slower, but very, very much easier than the left side, so also an understandable choice.
And also opting to put on the ring, because again, there are spiders there that can kill you. If you get hit once, there's a small chance you don't get poisoned, but more often than not, you get poisoned, and that extra take of damage from the poison does kill you. So putting on the ring makes it so the spiders can't see you. And again, just doing all the right things to take this one home.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because we can truly see Kyro's game plan really is just to be safe, be consistent, don't do anything unnecessary. Meanwhile, King174rus just fell apart so early that whatever plan he had, he probably couldn't follow. So
yeah,
trying to make that all
true.
up.
Basically, two philosophies on the complete opposite sides of the spectrum. One very safe, calculated, and methodical. Another one just completely sending it and trying, obviously, you know.
You gotta wonder if that was King174rus's original plan, or if he just fell back on that because of his rocky start.
Yeah, that's a good point. And again, I commended the runners earlier for being prepared and putting in the work here. And yeah, you just have to think that maybe that small little hiccup at the start altered his plans that he had coming in here, and that little bit of uncertainty can completely derail your run.
Yup. Kyro coming up on Corwin's skip here. Looked all good, and yes, he does warp up. That's one major hurdle of this level out of the way.
And yeah.
It is looking pretty case closed.
It's looking very bleak here for King174rus.
I want a close run as much as anyone else, but no amount of copium is going to recover this.
You want to see a wall? Moose says in chat he wants to see a wall walk today.
Oh, he'll see a wall walk. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, he will.
I mean, I don't want to leak too much, but wall walk is one of the things that I am just going to do.
Yeah, same.
Ooh, and King174rus missing inside invo skip there. If it wasn't sealed already, I think it's safe to say that this is over.
And doesn't opt to take the save, so he does have to start from the beginning of the level again. And Kyro's just in the home stretch, you know, taking it easy, doing everything. Again, I keep saying it, but just doing everything he had to do to take this one home. And
sticking to the plan, and it's working.
Yeah, yep, sticking to his gun, sticking to his preparation, and it's paying off, so... Well played to Kyro here.
Definitely. But King174rus, although obvious having a lot of mistakes, not an awful showing in just the terms of what he showed us. He's definitely showing us some of the game knowledge that you don't see of other runners. In ways he's been backing up his strategies and what he's deciding to go for. It's just unfortunate that he can't show that in the best way possible. And that's Kyro hitting the barrel. It is truly GG's for this one.
And you got to give respects to King174rus. He did pull out some strats we didn't. I think he was the first invis minecart we've seen today. Or did Zarek do invis minecart? I think he died once and then defaulted back to the old strat. But King174rus pulled out pillar skip, decided not to save on beam. I mean, obviously was part of his downfall, but again, respectable. So, Kyro again finished with about a little bit over 18 minutes. I think like an 18:10 or something. Maybe get verification on the final time for Kyro there. And King174rus here just trying to finish out strong. And unfortunate. Yeah, very unfortunate. Just today, slow boosting was not on the table for King174rus, unfortunately. It happens, and I won't doubt he won't come, or he'll come back strong for the next one. And this was a little concern I had for King174rus. He is a jack of all trades, plays many different categories, and trying to translate your skill through many different categories can be more difficult than one may think. So maybe just a little bit of rust on the NMG category instead of the ones he normally plays maybe was the difference here. And we do have some proposals going on in the chat, and awaiting the answer from Ember. And no answer from Ember. Truly unfortunate here. So we see King174rus getting into Cloud's Burst.
Yep.
Definitely not going to be happy with his showing.
Understandably so, but you know, it is what it is.
I don't know if you knew this, but I'm kind of playing Dr. Phil in your chat. We did have a proposal and no answer, no response. So
oof, rough.
Might have a little bit of animosity in the chat room. Might have to dish out some bans if people get a little nippy at each other. So
yeah,
but
let's keep it civil.
Just trying to. Let's see if King174rus can just close out strong. Does get Corwin skip here. And again, just want to see a strong finish here from King174rus. That's all we want to see. Does get Corwin skip. Is he going to go for wall walk? He's just sending it. Honestly, respectable. Does get the long jump.
Yep.
And let's see. A little bit of hesitation.
Ooh, almost got shot.
Oh my god. And you know what? He's just gonna default
just
to the
backs
old route.
out of it. Fair enough.
That's fine.
That backup is hardly worth it, because at that point you spend so much time backing it up. But yeah. Impressive.
You know, again, I think I saw another long jump glitch, and these runners that don't normally stream, maybe streaming these runs here, the long jump glitch is playing a factor. I can't say for certain. Might have to get his opinion on that, but I don't know. Long jump glitch is just man, it's not fun.
Yeah, it's definitely rough for these players, but you know, it's what you come in with. It's unfortunate. Nothing you can do about it. Just gotta play the cards you're dealt.
Exactly.
And pretty much the home stretch. Few things that can go wrong at this point. Definitely still possible, but I cannot imagine King174rus messing up past this point.
Yeah, again, this part is a little bit trickier than it seems because there's invisible walls you have to navigate around, and there's also like walls with no collision that you have to go through and know where you're going. Like it's so easy to fall. So this part may be simple, but there's a lot of traps and places you can fall here. So,
yep, very
true. Look like he got past the hard part though, or not the annoying part where a bunch of walls you have to go through. So, close out the run here. All right. So coming into the home stretch, one final slope boost, and it looks like not quite, just barely over a 23. All right, I guess there's a little bit delay in the time on the stream. So a 22:49 from King174rus. Obviously, not something he's going to be too excited about, but again, did throw everything out there, put all the strats on the table, and unfortunately just came up a little short. And Kyro is going to take the dub, so GG's to everyone in this race. Kyro, again, we saw two different philosophies here on the opposite sides of the spectrum. Kyro collected, calculated, and did everything he had to do and was comfortable with doing. And King174rus was, again, you can't fault the guy. He was just sending all the strats. And you know what? One philosophy paid off and the other didn't. And that's just how it goes sometimes. So GG's to the runners. Everyone came prepared, knew what they wanted to do, and just how it was today. All right. So I don't actually have word on the next matchup, but might be maybe Nooch and or M. I honestly don't know. We'll have to see what the next matchup is. But anyway, talking about the last match, Kyro started out strong, hitting Dreamworld skip first try, but then the next 3 levels had a little bit of a hiccup where King Russ did miss Dreamworld once, but everything after that,